Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about something that is going down in the city of Oakland, because we've covered on this channel before the uptick in instances of what's called sideshows or street takeovers, where a bunch of different cars, by the way, this is all criminal activity, let me make that clear, decide that they're going to block off the street and they're going to do donuts and have this big party, terrorize the neighbors, and how this has often led to violence, i.e. a bunch of different shootings that break out over disputes related to this. It also blocks traffic. There are sometimes instances where they're so brazen they're blocking bridges. There was a famous one on the Golden Gate Bridge and then another bridge in and around the Oakland area that was blocked off. But now people have decided that they're going to step up their efforts to fight back against this. So vigilantes have put up barriers in order to prevent these takeovers from actually occurring. And unfortunately, because this occurred in the city of Oakland, because this involves average, everyday, otherwise law-abiding citizens getting fed up with the criminality, I believe that this might lead to prosecutions of these people. Now, we're going to get into this, but before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
All right, back home here in the Bay Area, a group of neighbors in Oakland got so fed up with sideshows happening right in front of their homes. Well, they took matters into their own hands right there, building barricades out of tires, even installing their own speed bumps. Look at that. But as Katie Nielsen reports, their solution didn't go over well with the city.
Right off the top, I just have to say the tires, when they were originally presented as barriers, are not barriers. They might be heavy. The criminals might be too lazy to move those out of the way. But the fact of the matter is, that is an easy thing for criminals to actually get out in order to actually take over the streets. However, what I see after that is that these people decided that they were so fed up with this, they installed legitimate speed bumps. In fact, if not for this news story, I would not have believed that those were not put there by the city of Oakland, and they put them all over the place in order to prevent these donuts from occurring. And you could just understand the level of frustration you would have to have when you're taxed like hell in a place like California, you live in the city of Oakland. Just a few years ago, there were reports about how crime was dropping to historic levels in the city of Oakland, and then all of a sudden the Black Lives Matter riots happen and crime gets worse. All of a sudden Pamela Price gets elected into office and then she refuses to prosecute anyone for anything, so it gets even worse than that. And now they're at the point where they feel like they have to do this because nobody is listening to them. They're actually constructing their own government outside of the city of Oakland, that governing body, pooling together their own money and hiring construction workers or doing the construction voluntarily in order to prevent these takeovers from occurring, because the police aren't doing anything. In fact, we covered a video on this channel and I made fun of it to no end.
The problem with illegal sideshows has grown big enough that more than a dozen law enforcement agencies, including SFPD, Oakland PD, San Jose PD, Antioch PD, Fremont PD, CHP, and more, are now banding together to figure out regional solutions, ways they can collaborate to crack down on this problem.
About how San Jose was trying to lead an interagency partnership in order to figure out a way to maybe have a conversation about eventually talking about, discussing, possibly having a whispering session about what to do about these street takeovers. Well, these residents have had enough. Pamela Price is on the ballot for recall this election season, and these people don't want to wait that long in order to deal with this, so they've decided to step up and actually try to secure their own community.
People who live in the area say the streets themselves tell the story of what's wrong. Dozens and dozens of tire tracks and skid marks cover the intersections on East 21st Street. And according to the neighbors, the city wasn't doing enough to keep them safe. This home surveillance video shows what people in the area say they deal with all the time. Cars doing burnouts and drifting through the intersection.
Now, I just want to pause and point out that we are told repeatedly by the left-wing progressives that crime is a consequence of poverty. Instead of going after the criminal, instead of holding people accountable for their own actions like they are agents engaged in their own life, we need to seek out and discover the description of poverty and send the police to go arrest poverty. So if anybody knows what poverty is wearing in this particular surveillance video, the left-wing progressives want you to forward that description over to the city of Oakland. But here in reality, we understand that crime and disorder often are the products of what you allow in your society. The fact of the matter is, there is no economic gain or economic strife going on right here. These people are tearing up the streets of Oakland because they can do it, because it's fun for them, it's entertaining, and repeatedly they have discovered that no matter how bad things get, nobody is actually coming to stop them. Again, we did a story just recently about how one of these takeovers led to a business getting basically destroyed, its front entrance, and rather than hold the driver accountable or anything like that, the city of San Francisco decided to put a notice on the business owner's property saying, hey, this is dangerous, not what we allowed, your property. Therefore, we're going to fine you if you don't spend $50,000 fixing this within 90 days. And by the way, you need to have somebody under contract in 30 days. Good luck to you.
Oh, terrible. So bad.
Faustina Mendoza lives just a couple houses down from this intersection at East 21st Street and 19th Avenue in the San Antonio neighborhood of Oakland. She says cars routinely run this stop sign and speed up and down the street, one time narrowly missing her daughter as she was in the crosswalk.
This one guy come and run over. She runs. If she don't run, maybe they, yeah.
That's why a few weeks ago, neighbors got together to put massive tires filled with dirt and concrete into the medians along East 21st Street, a homemade form of DIY traffic calming.
You know what? I just realized I was wrong. I thought these were just tires, but the local news corrected me. They fact-checked me and deemed me false. These are pretty solid barriers if you're going to fill them with dirt and cement and secure them to the median. Now, obviously, I don't like this. I would like to be able to drive freely if I'm in a certain area. But the fact of the matter is, law enforcement is not engaging with these suspects. They're not doing anything about this. And when they refuse to act and citizens are at risk of death or suffering, you can't expect them to stand idle forever. This is one of those become ungovernable kind of moments. And it's a shame that now the issue that Oakland wants to address is the fact that citizens stepped up in this instance rather than the years of these street takeovers putting people in danger across their city and, by the way, across multiple major cities in the state of California. Again, these have already spawned out of control. People getting hit by cars slamming into people's businesses, slamming into their homes, the people trying to interrupt these getting jumped and attacked for trying to get some quiet in their neighborhood. There was recently a shooting at one of these in the city of Oakland, and what we see time and time again, even when they decide they're going to set the cars on fire at the end of the street takeover, is Oakland relent, Oakland back off, Oakland cater to the criminal. We actually had an activist in one of these instances after there was a horrible mess of a disaster street takeover, the one with the fire, go to the media and say, hey, you know what we need? We need to grant them permission to do this so that way it won't be criminal.
With Streets Are for Everyone, thinks another approach could work.
More holistically, not necessarily just from a enforcement perspective, which is a tool, but also how do we provide areas where this can be done legally? How do we do education?
It's bad enough that they're not enforcing the law in these scenarios. Now we have activists saying, you know what? Let's give them a license to do this because that will be extra special and fun.
And people in the area said it worked. It stopped the sideshow activity and much of the speeding. But after an accident, when a car hit one of the tires and flipped on its side, the city said they had to go.
Now, look, this is one of the reasons why I don't want to get on board with something like this, because we had a serious accident, as you guys just saw, when a car ultimately ended up hitting one of these dividers, which, again, despite the fact that they have the yellow tape and all that, were not standard dividers. So this was obviously a danger. As for the actual bumps in the road, those might be a bit different, but you have to understand what we're talking about here when we see the city of Oakland act this quickly after one accident in order to remove these barriers, which again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have removed them. Obviously, they were kind of put in a bit haphazardly, but the fact that they did almost instantly on these very same roads where they ignored the street takeovers over and over and over again tells you something.
In a statement from Josh Rowan, director of Oakland's Department of Transportation, he said the community is fed up, and justifiably so, with the sideshows in their community. The community was upset that the city removed their self-installed traffic calming. I directed the removal due to the risk that it created to the traveling public.
It tells you about their priorities. It tells you about who they care about. The citizens try to act in good faith, and guess what? Their stuff gets shut down as soon as there's a problem. The criminals act in bad faith over and over again. They have shootings, they set cars on fire, smash into buildings, hit people, assault people who try to get them to just cut it out. No big deal. No arrests, nothing to worry about. If somebody does get arrested, then Pamela Price will just not charge them in those particular instances.
What's left of the neighborhood-made traffic calming devices are still sitting along the sidewalk. City leaders met with neighbors on Monday night to talk about adding city-sanctioned speed bumps or traffic circles. But some people say they're tired of waiting for the city to act.
That's what Oakland used to be. We took matters into our own hands. We made sure our communities and our youth was protected. So I don't have no issues with the community stepping up like they should be doing.
You know, it has to be really bad for the citizens to set up these barriers, put up the money for them, install them themselves, take time out of their busy days in order to prevent these street takeovers from occurring. It has to get to such a degree of a problem, and the city of Oakland has to ignore them for so long for people to act in this way. But for that to cause an accident, for that to actually lead to an injury of another innocent person who is on the road, like we saw right there, that car is absolutely obliterated, and then for the people to say, you know what, we still don't care, we want these barriers up because the street takeovers are absolutely 100% worse, should really tell you something about this. It should really tell you something about how big of a problem it is in this particular neighborhood. The fact that they have these barriers up, and by the way, we saw some of the bumps that they installed, and you could still see the tire marks around, should tell you about how often Oakland is in this area taking care of these streets. The answer is almost never. And to be clear, the reason why Oakland, I believe, acted to remove these regular barriers that people put up is because they don't want to face the liability from that, but they're perfectly fine having people face the criminality of the street takeovers. So yeah, obviously, it's a very dubious situation. Those tire barriers, definitely a problem. I'm not a huge fan of them. They obviously led to disastrous results for at least that one driver, but I want you to understand the frustration. What would actually cause a person to become a vigilante traffic barrier installer, as absurd as that sounds, and how obviously it's not a great look that Oakland does nothing for years, California does nothing for years in these street takeovers, but as soon as there's an incident where they might face some liability, as soon as there's an incident where a citizen acts, they immediately find the gumption to step up. All of a sudden, scarce resources, no big deal, we're ready to move. I mean, we did a story on this channel, as insane as it is, about how copper wire theft was so frequent in one particular area that the city of Oakland just gave up. They removed the traffic light, put up a stop sign, and by the way, they still haven't fixed, as of the last time me checking, the regular street lights, which are out, making that road pitch black in the nighttime. So Oakland doesn't care about its citizens. It doesn't care about their safety. All it cares about is their own liability and making sure the citizens don't act and continue to vote blue no matter who. And obviously, the Oakland residents have had enough. There's a reason why Gavin Newsom felt compelled to send California Highway Patrol to the area. There's a reason why he has to steal cases from Pamela Price, and there's a reason why she is up for recall election. But I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a disaster situation in the city of Oakland. Till next time.